The animal kingdom is full of parasites. Some stick to their hosts' outsides, and others stick to their hosts' insides. But most parasites stick to just one host. The flukeworm, known to science as Galactosomum spinetum, doesn't have a host. It has three. And the host it currently has isn't even its final destination. This fluke makes its way from the sea to the sky by, let's say, being persuasive. But getting where you need to go is all about hitching a ride here in life, death, and taxonomy.
Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's your 30 minutes of interesting animal information. I'm Joe.
And I'm Carlos.
Thank you to Cassie for the creation of our theme song. To hear more of Cassie's music, please search Cassie Michelle on YouTube or Spotify.
And thank you to Johanna for the creation of this week's artwork. To check that out, you can visit us at our home on the web at ldtaxonomy.com. And a very special thank you to our patrons, to Jesse Raspolich, Carol Raspolich, Richard Caspar, Lottie and Aubrey, Gray Hughes, and Wednesday Rabbit. Thank you so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on. And if you would like to become a patron, you can go to patreon.com/ldtaxonomy. And you can either hang out for free or donate and help us keep the lights on. This kind of stuff pays for our hosting fees, our upgrading things like cameras and microphones and software. So we thank those that have been awesome enough to donate. And yeah, that's how you do it. Patreon.com/ldtaxonomy.
And today we're talking about something extraordinary, but it might be just a fluke. More on that later.
That's my major fact name, not just a fluke.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one has no common name.
The species.
Yeah, the species has no common name. So, like, get on that. Zoologists, I guess. I don't know who's responsible for coming up with a common name. Probably some, like, 17th century explorer. And if they don't do it, then no one will. So, but what are we talking about?
We're talking about a fluke. Galactosomum. That's what we're talking about. A Galactosomum fluke.
Galactosomum?
Galactos is even better.
That is better.
Galactosomum.
That's a space spell if I've ever heard one. And I haven't heard one. Yeah, it's Galactosomum, the spinetum.
Should we taxonomize it?
No, we should talk about some nicknames because I'm calling this one the Gill Goblin and Fluke Skywalker.
The Gilgamesh?
Gilgamesh.
Okay, now do you want to know what science has to call him?
Yes, I do.
It's in the kingdom, love and are in the kingdom Animalia.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what are we even... So far, you might not even have an image conjured up in your mind.
What's
except
a
for
fluke?
Maybe of a whale tail.
Yeah, true.
The phylum, though, is Platyhelminthes. Do you know what you're picturing yet? Probably not.
A platypus. That's about as far as
that
I'm
is
getting.
a phylum of relatively simple bilateral and unsegmented soft-bodied invertebrates.
I knew it. It was on the tip of my tongue.
AKA flatworms. We're talking about a flatworm. And the class is Trematoda.
It's a trematode. Instead of a nematode, it's a trematode.
Flatworms known as flukes and trematodes. The order is Plagiorchidae. Plagiorchidae? Plagiorchidae?
Chia.
Plagiorchidae. That's what I'm going to go with.
Plagiorchidae.
Family, Heterophydae. Fiid. So the order had two I's in a row, and now we've got a Y before an I.
Yeah, I think I would say both of them are E. Y before E.
It's time to go to sleep.
Y before E, and you're saying you got the wrong language.
Yeah. Heterophydae.
Yeah, so you have Chiidae, Plagiorchidae with two I's, and then you can say Heterophydae with a Y. So that works.
And the genus is Galactosomum, and the species is the binomial name is Galactosomum spinetum.
And since we're in the business of naming things, it's time for my favorite part of the show, nitty-gritty nomenclature. Because it's a worm, and we've already gone over worms before. A group of worms is called a clue, which sounds normal.
A clue.
Until you get to until you spell it. It's CLEW, and for some reason that spelling is a disgusting way to spell clue.
Ew. It has ew.
It has ew written right into it. Were you doing Blue's Clues? Is that?
Yeah. Yes.
My kids have not watched Blue's Clues yet. We're on the Blippi train right now, and if you are an adult with no kids, then you thank your lucky stars you don't know who Blippi is. There's only so much of that man that a mature mind
them
can
to it at all,
because they love it, and it
how do you know they love it until you show it to them?
Well, they find it he does crossovers with other creators, YouTube creators and stuff like that.
Cross promotion is the real.
And you just see the thumbnail; situation. It's a related video, and it's like, oh, I want to learn about like dinosaurs, or I want to go like play at the playground, and you watch this guy act like a child that has been exposed to a cocaine bear amount of illicit drugs. And with really high pitched voice and super way over animated, and the kids gobble it up. They learn a ton, and I want to jump out a window. So it's a bit of a love-hate relationship there. Anyway, nitty-gritty nomenclature. Galactosomum spinetum. This is the part of the show where I ask you, Joe, what does the nomenclature mean in English? So does Galactosomum spinetum mean A, milk-bodied thicket, B, spinning body burrower, C, balanced celestial bodies, or D, whole broad spine?
Spinning body burrower. Final answer.
That is incorrect. The answer is milk-bodied thicket. How could you not get that?
Does Milky Way galaxy mean Milky Way or something?
Yeah, galacto means milk or milky.
Lacto. That makes sense.
It does make sense.
I didn't know galacto.
But like galaxy, I don't know if that's in the same vein, but it is Greek. So, and the Greeks were the kind of the first to chart the stars and put it into surviving documents. So, and then soma means body. And then spinetum is is Latin for thorny patch, briar, or thicket. So.
Lactose intolerance is I get a tummy ache if I eat ice cream. Galactose intolerance sounds like I'm a space racist. Or like I'm against another, like an alien species.
I just can't stand galaxies. I prefer to live on Earth. Or just like you don't do well with cosmic radiation. I guess I would be galactose intolerant as well.
You don't like You don't like looking at the sky at night.
Yeah, because that's when the galaxy comes out to play. Yeah. So milk-bodied thicket. That's what that means.
Interesting. You want to know what it looks like?
Well, it's a flukeworm. I'm sure it looks pleasant.
It's small, so it's hard to know what it looks like with the naked eye. It has a flattened oval shape, as is the case with flatworms quite a lot of the time. And it's got different stages of life. So the metacercaria stage is spherical. So one of its stages is spherical. It's translucent and slightly elongated. As an adult, it would be more elongated and have more complex structures with suckers for for attaching to stuff. So does that conjure up an image in your mind? If it doesn't, then you're normal. Because I don't know. It's hard to say what this thing looks like. There's not a lot of pictures available.
They're all electron microscope pictures.
Yeah. One of them. What the? I'm looking. If you Google it, you're gonna get a lot of maps for some reason. Oh, here it is. It looks like a nasty sphere. Yeah, it's a sphere. It's a cross section of a sphere that's evil to look at. Looks like actually looks kind of like someone cut out a tree and there's a hollow section inside.
And it doesn't like you for who you are.
Yeah,
it doesn't like you for you.
So that's that. Let's talk about the thing that we can wrap our minds around, its relative size. So welcome to the Beloved Measure Up segment, the official listener's favorite part of the show, the part of the show that's introduced by you when you send an audio of yourself saying, singing, or chittering the words measure up into ldtaxonomy@gmail.com. You may also vote for your favorite segment of the show. And if you do so on Patreon, by signing up on Patreon for free or for money, your vote counts as two.
Yes.
But
vote for nitty gritty nomenclature / critter groups.
Or measure up.
A vote for nitty gritty nomenclature / critter groups is a vote for change.
Hope and change?
Yes.
We've heard that before.
Be the nomenclature you want to see in the world.
Do not fear what measure up could do for you.
I don't fear it. The only thing I fear is fear itself.
We don't have a new measure up intro this week, but that means we could hear from get to hear from an animal, quote unquote, and Carlos has to guess what it is. So let's hear from this is a parasite. This animal's a parasite. So let's hear from a parasite.
Social Security collector. What?
And guess, yeah. Ayn Rand. All right. Without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show.
You should not have come here, O'Neill.
Can you undo what you've done to Carter?
If I choose to.
The deeper voice is what you're looking for.
Is that Independence Day?
No. It's a good guess. It's a similar era.
It's because that sounded like Bill Pullman on the other side. I don't know.
That was the Witch of the Goa'uld from Stargate SG-1.
Yeah, that was never going to happen.
The Goa'uld or whatever, they are parasite organisms that are incubated in another race, and one of them is Teal'c, and that is played by the voice of Kratos in the most recent God of War. So
Christopher Judge.
Yeah.
That was Christopher Judge's voice?
No, that was like a pitched down woman's voice.
Okay.
The character was
I was
a
like,
woman.
that didn't sound anything like Christopher Judge. He didn't say boy even once.
But yeah, that's Stargate SG-1. A series I watched the entire thing of, and I couldn't tell you. Everything I just told you was what I know about it. I couldn't, like, that is gone from my brain.
I watched half an episode and was like, this is not
Have you seen
for me.
the movie Stargate?
No.
That's like, it's all based on that movie.
It looks really like low production. It's the same reason why I can't get into like Star Trek Next Generation. It might be like good or interesting stories, but the production value is so low that it's just not. I can't get into it. But I still watched all of Doctor Who, so I'm just a walking contradiction here.
Oh, we started rewatching Doctor Who, and it's like abysmal. It's like in terms of production value.
Yeah, it's really hard. I don't think I could watch it now. I don't know what drove me to watch it back in like 2012, but
back then we had the cultural preparedness, mental preparedness to know that a TV show, you cannot expect high quality.
There's a
visuals.
charm to Doctor Who that I don't find in like the Star Trek or Stargate from that era. Just like there's a charm to like the IT crowd
more often.
Yeah, when I first watched the IT crowd, like I was like, this is one of the worst sitcoms I've ever seen. Like the acting is just in the basement and all this stuff. But the more I watched it, the more
when is sitcom acting any good?
It's like better than that.
The best sitcom of all time by many people's standards is Seinfeld. And throughout that whole thing, Jerry Seinfeld is smiling at the jokes while they're happening. Like he can't act at all. But it's fun. The jokes are funny.
Not even in the Bee Movie? Are we talking about so much on this podcast?
Yeah, it's our favorite movie. Let's talk about their length. The length of the larval stage, 2.7 to 4.9 millimeters. The fluke is the same length as a 1/1119th of a humpback whale's fluke. B, 1/4 the length of a proper Italian penne noodle. C, 450 grains of finely ground flour.
C, final answer. Flour.
The correct answer is 1/1119th of a humpback whale's fluke.
That doesn't seem right. 4.5 millimeters? That seems way too small.
4.9.
4.9.
Humpback whale's fluke can be 18 feet wide.
Yeah, I don't know, I guess it seemed that 4.9 millimeters times even 1,000 wouldn't get you to 18 feet, but I guess it does. 1,000's a lot.
I think about 5 of these go into an inch. If that makes it any more sense.
Sure. Millimeters,
let's talk about the size
though,
of their
man.
genus. There's 28 species in the genus Galactosomum. So the Galactosomum genus has the same number of members as a third of the amount of organs in the human body. A. Or B, a 154th a box of Cheerios. Actually, 154th I like if you read the sentence, it sounds like the Cheerios in a box of Cheerios are members of the box of Cheerios.
It's like a credit union.
Yeah.
They're all part owners.
How many
Co-op.
members are in the box of Cheerios? How many Cheerio members?
The Covenant of Cheerios.
Or C, a 14th the amount of bullets a Gatling gun could fire in a second.
What's the number again? How many are in the genus?
28.
28. So it's a third of the number of organs in the human body.
154th.
Oh, 154th
A
of
box of
the Cheerio membership club.
Or 14th the amount of bullets in a Gatling gun.
In a second, you said?
In a second.
No, I don't. In a second, a Gatling gun, a modern one, like a helicopter's rotating barrel, like version of the Gatling gun, or like the Gatling gun that like John Gatling made.
I typed in how many bullets per second can a Gatling gun fire, and it showed me an old-timey one. So
Okay, an old-timey one. The ones that they had to turn with hand crank at the end of the Last Samurai. That was pretty slow. Definitely not whatever 14 times 28 is per second. So we're going to go with 28 times 3. 84 organs in the human body. It seems like a lot. But maybe there are things that are organs that I don't recognize as organs. Like, oh, your lips are organs. You can count as 2. I'm going to go with the Cheerios. Because I'm hungry.
Final answer?
Yeah. And I can't
That
eat
is
Gatling
correct.
guns or human organs anymore.
There are 2,772 Cheerios in a box of Cheerios.
Man, I want
You're right.
Cheerios.
So full on, I did not know that there were the modern miniguns were considered modern Gatling guns.
Miniguns.
I thought
that's
the
what they're
Gatling
called.
gun was a thing back in the day.
It was invented by a guy
I
whose
thought it
last
was
name is Gatling.
exclusively that's what a Gatling gun is. The modern things are not Gatling guns. They're just
like a Tommy gun. Like
No.
you can have a gun that does
Yes.
a similar thing to a Tommy gun, but it's not called a Tommy gun. I don't know if miniguns like Apache miniguns are called Gatling guns, but the rotating barrels is. It seems like you would still consider that a type of Gatling gun.
A Gatling gun, yeah.
Yeah.
So modern Gatling guns can fire, or modern miniguns that could be considered modern versions of the Gatling gun, can fire up to 6,000 rounds per minute, or 100 rounds per second. But the original could only fire like 3.3 rounds.
Yeah, like dun 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 dun. Like that's It was still better than anything else that was out there.
200 rounds per minute.
That's enough to stop fictional samurai right in their tracks. All right, cool. I got it right. It's been a while.
Yeah. Should we add? Should we add a third one just so you could pass if you get one? If you get 2 of them right. Now you've only got a 50%. No, I will not do. This measure up takes the most amount of time in episode preparation.
Yeah, and now I don't even have to pull up my calculator. I pulled up my calculator instinctively, but it's like I don't even really need it. The answer's one of these.
Yeah.
Multiple choice is my forte.
It's faster for you. It's faster for you.
Yeah. Just lucked out that all of our standardized testing is multiple choice because I'm decent at that. give me a blank answer, I'm not gonna be able to do it. But anyway,
are you ready for some fast facts before we get into the major fact?
Yes.
Galactosomum flukes rely on ciliary gliding to move around.
Same.
What the heck is that? Ciliary gliding is a type of locomotion used by certain small, soft-bodied invertebrates. The animal moves on a layer of mucus that it secretes, propelled by the coordinated beating of tiny hair-like structures, which are called cilia. It's a little cilia. Let's talk about their life cycle. Without getting too specific, because there's going to be some stuff later.
Yeah, maybe the life cycle. I'll do the whole life cycle. I think.
You don't want me to say the names of the stages?
I'm
not saying where they live their lives.
Go for it.
Well, they start as eggs. They live in the water, by the way. These are water creatures. Usually, when you get small enough, you need water. You need to live in water.
If you get big enough, you need water too.
You know why? Because you need to live in water because if you don't, you need water to live. And if you're small and in a dry place, you might have to do a lot of walking to get to water.
Or actually,
so you might
probably
as well
more like
live in it.
Celiac gliding. A lot of celiac gliding to get to.
And probably even more likely just desiccating and dying if you're in a dry place. Instantly. So, yeah, the eggs in the water. The eggs hatch into free-swimming larvae called miracidia. And then the miracidia develop into sporocysts and then into radiae, which produce cerasariae. Then the cerasariae insist. They're insistent. No, they're not. They're not insisting. They're encysting. ENCYST, which means to become a cyst. They insist upon themselves.
And they assist the insistence.
Yeah. They insist upon insisting. And then once they insist, they become the metacercaria, which I think are the spherical things.
Mm-hmm.
And then the metacercaria mature into adult flukes. And they lay eggs. And then those eggs hatch into free-swimming larvae called miracidae. And then the miracidae develop into sporocysts, and then into radiae, and then to produce cerasariae. And then the cerasariae insist as metacercaria. And the metacercaria mature into adult flukes and lay eggs. And then the eggs hatch. I'm just kidding.
Textbook life cycle.
Anyway, they've got a million different five life cycle changes.
A million.
In stars.
Pretty much, yeah.
What's your budget for life cycle stages? Is it $1 million?
No, it's 5.
But yeah, that's all I've got. You're like a lot of this creature's existence is major.
Yes. So let's go a little bit deeper into that life cycle. So like I said earlier, I called this not just a fluke. And it is interesting how this life cycle developed, and how dependent it is on these different stages. So, and it's an interesting parasite. Its life cycle involves 3 different hosts. One for each major set of stages. And these hosts are not, it's not like, 3 snakes or 3 fish or 3 bears or something. It's 3 animals from different corners of the animal kingdom. So this is going to sound familiar because we've talked about parasites that infect things before, but their life cycle begins when an adult Galactosomum fluke releases its eggs into the intestines of their definitive hosts, the end stage hosts, which we'll talk about. And then those hosts poop out the eggs into the water. So the eggs go into the water, and then they hatch into these free-swimming larvae. They're called Miracidia. There we go. And so they swim around, and their goal is to find a snail, specifically a specific snail, and that's what keeps them. If they don't find the snail, they die. If they do find the snail, they keep going. So once they're inside the snail, they'll just go through its skin. They don't need to be eaten or anything like that. They just snails have pretty porous and permeable skin, so they just swim right in there. And now the snail is infected. These larvae, these Miracidia, will develop into sporocysts, like you mentioned. And then they'll develop even further into their next stage, which is the rediae. 3 vowels there, I-A-E in a row. And that is attached to the tissue of the snail. And once they develop into the rediae stage, they will create another larval form, like almost bud off another larval form. And these are called the cercariae. Another I-E-A-E thing, man. They really did make this one easy. And this last form, this last budded off form, is released into the water from the snail. So we are now at it was pooped into the water, hatched as an egg, swam into a snail, basically latched on and turned into a tree like thing, budded off another part of itself, and that part left the snail. So now we've left our home snail behind.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear me? Okay. And so now these are free swimming as well. And they will actively seek out and fish. They'll seek out fish and penetrate the soft membranes in the gills of the fish, and enter through the skin. So this can really be any fish, but it's found they found it's in a lot in mullet and herring, pufferfish, gobies, wrasse, snappers. Also works in fresh and brackish waters, so that they found it in catfish and tilapia and bass, things like that. Once they're inside the fish, these the free swimming things that left the snail will also encyst, ENCYST. They'll do a similar thing that they did to the snail, which is latch onto the inside and turn into a tree. And they'll usually find like some muscles or some internal organs, and that'll be their home. And they'll develop into the circular metacercaria, which are so we had the cercariae, which were the free swimming ones, and now these are the metacercaria. So they're playing 4D chess. Mm-hmm. And now they are ready to, they're in the stage and ready to infect the final host. Because this isn't the end of the line. We've talked about certain worms that will infect snails so that snails can be eaten and then that's the end of the line. No, they infect snails, then pass stuff through the snails. That stuff gets picked up by fish, and then they latch into the fish and develop into something new. And now their goal is to be eaten by the last stage, the last host, birds. And so how are they going to do that? Well, they change the fish's behavior. This is also similar to the worms that infect land snails. They'll force the fish to do something against its better judgment, against its instinct, and that is to swim to the surface and do something similar to what's called whirling disease, which is actually a name given to what another parasite does to fish. They'll swim around at the in the surface, splashing, making a ruckus, and flashing their underbellies. And with most fish, they're countershaded. Their underbellies are white and their tops are darker. So when they flash their underbellies, they're very easy to spot against the dark ocean below. So this makes them very, very easy pickings for birds, makes them very likely to be eaten by birds. And this is exactly what our metacercaria friends want. Metacercaria friends want. And they're at the end of the road. This is their final stage. And this will grow them into a worm, the flukeworm, final adult stage, which will lay eggs in the bird, and then the bird will poop those eggs into the water, and the life cycle begins again. The beautiful circle of life. And I couldn't find any like definitive thing on this, but there were some sources that said that it can infect humans. Not on, like, it wouldn't seek out a human even if a human were swimming. But if humans eat like raw or undercooked fish, there's a possibility of eating one of these guys in their angry little spherical metacercaria forms. And that can lead to some gastrointestinal issues. But no, I couldn't find any like official studies on human consumption of this, like tapeworm or something like that. But yeah, well, again, we've talked about something similar where it changes the behavior of the host in order for it to be eaten by the second stage. But this is a turducken 3. It infects a snail, then infects a fish, so that it can get eaten and infect a bird. Like, it just keeps going. And
it just keeps needing to find a specific animal.
Well, I mean, it's not picky on fish. It's picky on the snail, but it's not picky on fish or birds for that matter. But yeah, talk about an animal that is engineered for this ecosystem.
If you told me, like, you have 48 hours to find a snail or you'll die, that would be difficult. I mean, I could maybe do it. Just wait at night.
I could totally do it. There's so many snails, like, outside my house all the time in the morning, like, going across the concrete.
What if not? You know, what if not in the next 2 days? What if it's not the season for it? But yeah,
then you're dead.
That's just an interesting. Yeah.
And they're slow. They're snails. You're fast.
You can catch them. It's all about finding them.
True. So yeah, that's Galactosomum spinetum, the one of many parasitic fluke worms that you don't want in your gut. You got anything else?
That's all I got. They live in brackish water.
Yeah, fresh and brackish.
Fresh
and
water,
also
brackish
salt.
water, which is, fresh water. It's just another reason not to ever swim in a lake. I
mean, just don't eat the fish. I think you're good if you don't eat the fish. Just don't, when you're swimming in a lake, don't use your inhuman reflexes to snatch a fish out of the water and then just tear into it like Gollum.
Don't drink the water.
If you avoid doing that, you should. Yeah, don't drink the water. You should be
don't
good.
Don't put your feet in the water.
No,
there's another parasite that does that. Burrows into your feet.
I mean, this works in. This parasite lives in the saltwater as well. It lives in its hosts include snappers, pufferfish, mullet, herring. These are saltwater fish. So don't swim.
Make sure your water isn't brackish at all. Fully salted water.
No, they live in saltwater. They live in brackish water, and they live in freshwater. There is no safe place.
See. So then why even say what kind of water they live in? They live in all water.
Yeah, they live in all the water. It's
yeah.
rare. It's rare for a water-dwelling animal to live in all the waters.
That's right.
Unless you're a salmon or a bull shark.
Big water, little water.
Or a dolphin or manatee. I guess a lot of animals can do that.
The salty, fresh swirl water.
A French swirl.
Fresh. Salty and fresh.
French swirl sounds like just the most delicious ice cream. All right. So that was the Galactosomum spinetum flukeworm. For you out there in Podcastia, find yourself a nice snail. And then find yourself a nice fish. And then find yourself a nice bird, like the Galactosomum flukeworm here in Life, Death, and Taxonomy.
Hey Taxonomy Titans, I just want to remind you that we now have a Patreon. Patrons can see full video episodes and get shoutouts on the show. But ultimately, it's a way for you to help us cover some costs and get even better. Still, reviews are the best way to help us grow. So if you haven't left one yet, we'd really love to hear from you. As always, thanks for listening and engaging.
Life, Death, and Taxonomy is my favorite in the world podcast.
Find yourself a nice snail and settle down.
No, don't settle down. That's your starter home.
Yeah.